Ni wern narik dien, wadarang aktanuk, makbarian wadarang bagaruk, manamaith mirabea, nilinga wadarang bake, karingarapo bunjo the ego, wa the crow, kimbani ba Deanne Gilson. Welcome to Wadarang Country.
Live from Wadarang Country, welcome to Lance TV. Coming to you from the palatial New Camp Street Studios in Ballarat, get ready to laugh, think, love and sparkle. And now, it's time to turn that camp dial all the way up to fabulous. Here's your host, the multi-award-winning Lance-tastic, Lance de Boyle.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're watching Let's TV, coming to you live from Ballarat, the resting place of Bunjali Eagle. Wadarang Country. Come on, come and sit down. It's been fantastic. Oh, there's a studio audience. Oh no, go back to that shot. Look at that. There's art at work there. Look. Now, give me that shot again, please. It's amazing. I love live television. That's why we keep doing it. We hope you're well. We hope you've been happy and safe and well. For those of you who are watching from all over the place, you would have heard that there are fires not far from Ballarat. I took a photo yesterday at the height. I think it was like 36 degrees here. If we can have the photo, please, Chloe. This is the photo that I took yesterday. There's no filter. That beautiful blue, beautiful pink fuchsia-coloured orb in the sky is actually the sun, and that photo was taken at about 6 p.m, 6:30 p.m. No, actually, it would have been a bit later, about 7:30 p.m. The building with the flag on it is Ballarat Town Hall. That's what it looked like here. You could smell the smoke. You could smell the smoke in the sky. It was very amazingly colours were amazing, but at the end of the day, that about 40 kilometres from here, there are many people out Lau Way, Beaufort, all on that side of Victoria. So, you know, if you happen to be watching us from one of those locations, please know that you're not alone. We are thinking of you, and we do send our love. We hope that you're safe and that your families are safe as well. I think with bushfires, it's a thing that cities don't really fully understand. I mean, fire really does have a mind of its own if you haven't lived regionally. I've lived up in the Northern Territories and realised that even a cyclone, you can track a cyclone, but you can't track fire. It can turn at any tick of the clock, and it is really quite scary for those who are there. And special love too to the fireys and the SES who have been out there probably, and it's still today, the fires are still going today, and it's going to heat up as the week goes on. So to the families of all the fireys and the SES, we're sending you love as well. That's my rant over for that. We loved the first 5 minutes of the show because I just go off on a tangent. Speaking of tangents, I'd like to introduce our guest tonight, our very special, wonderful guest, who goes by the name of Professor Richard Chew. Darling. Oh.
Darling.
Mwah. Mwah. Look at you.
Thank you.
I don't know if you noticed that on camera, but as we were holding, Rick was tickling the insides of my palms with his hands. Well.
Can't help it.
I know. It's my boyish grin, isn't it?
It is.
Darling, thank you so much for being on the show.
That's a great pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, fantastic. Did you find the place okay?
I did. It was just across the street, which is great. And you're right about that amazing fuchsia sunlight. I've never seen anything like it.
No.
Yesterday. It was very, very strange.
Yeah. I actually looked up at the sun earlier in the day, and it was like this molten fluoro orange colour. I just sort of went, there is a fire somewhere.
Yeah. It's the first time I've experienced it in that way. So it's a strange atmosphere, isn't it?
It is. Did you? I'm not sure what part of Ballarat you live in, but were you getting kind of these charred black leaves around your place? They weren't burnt. They were just this matte black, like somebody had painted them with like a paint. But it was like 40 kilometres away, and they floated all the way to Ballarat, which could have actually triggered us off here. For those of you who may not know Ballarat, we're surrounded by pine forest. So, you know, if it goes up here, we'd know about it very quickly.
Yes, we would indeed.
Yeah. You are on the show tonight because I lovingly call you Maestro from time to time, don't I?
You do.
And why would
You
I
do.
call you Maestro, Richard?
Well, I mean, as you know, there's a great film out at the moment called Maestro about Leonard Bernstein.
Oh, I saw it.
Which is really,
It was a great film.
really good.
I learned heaps.
It's a fantastic film. But yeah, maestro is a term that's used for conductors mostly, or composers sometimes. So I'm a musician. That's what I do. So
You compose though.
I do write music.
And you do wave your hands around from time to time, don't you?
Yeah, and nobody knows what's happening, but that's great. It's 'cause
Art.
It's just like
It's a little bit like Lance TV. Nobody knows what's happening here either, but still. Amazing. And you are the professor and director of the Federation University Arts Academy.
Yep. Sounds very grand, doesn't
It's very grandiose for a humble man like you.
it? Really.
You're funny. This is going to be a really good interview.
Oh,
I
good.
feel it, or I feel it in my waters.
Where are we going to go now?
I don't
Are
know,
we
but I
going back
really,
to the beginning?
I always love those awkward pauses where it's like banter, 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 stop.
Yeah.
Because I will sit and just wait for the other person to go, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, it makes me feel
Yeah.
weird. What's going to happen now, though, is part of tonight's show. We have a pre-recorded segment, and it's called Lance TV Art Corner. Just so you know, if you're looking for something to do over the weekend, come up to Ballarat. Frolic Festival is on. All the joy of rainbows to everybody here in Ballarat. Last night, the TBH Studios in Bridge Street, I don't know what to call it now, Bridgemore Street, had an opening of Frolic Festival art show, and of course the launch. And we were there with our cameras last night, so enjoy this piece of art, and we'll be back right after the break.
Hi, I'm Charlie, one of the co-directors of Frolic Festival, and we're here at TBH Studios for the grand opening of our art exhibition and starting off our TBH season. Come and have a look. We're lucky to have TBH as one of our sponsors for our festival, and we have some amazing artworks from local queer creators, some provocative, some mixed media, some quite fantasy-based. Truly beautiful colours and stories throughout. And we also have a lot of different mediums, such as this beautiful sculpture piece. And we also have one of my personal favourite mediums, a print. I think it's a print. It's gorgeous and it reminds me of Rocky Horror next to media. This one is one of my personal faves, as well as the next one, which has a previous performer from Frolic, the amazing Wintergreen, who was a performer at Dark Rainbow Frolic last year in 2023. An absolutely amazing trans performer who is incredible at what they do. And we have these beautiful, beautiful sculptured works from Megan from Holtz. There's a lot of intricate details in these works that are just beautiful to look at. And we have beautiful, beautiful colour works, gorgeous, amazing, stylized, really, really thought-provoking. And it's great to see body positivity in art, because my body looks like that and I want to see more of my body. And we have this incredible 3D artwork created by David Farrington. This jacket is incredible. I don't know how he got it to lay like that, but I'm thoroughly impressed. And we have one Miss Hollywood's artwork, who is also one of the owners of TBH Studios. She stands for the H, and it's a beautiful, thought-provoking, emotional piece, which Holly is known for. And we have physical artwork that you're able to touch by Robin Fisher. Yet another person who has actually exhibited with us before. It opens up and everything. It reminds me of those toys we used to have as kids. And it's just incredibly painted. And then here we have pom-poms are gay, because they are. I thoroughly agree with this. It's beautiful texture, bright and mixed media, acrylic canvas, amazing. From Kim McGee, I love Kim. And we have the lovely Vienna Bishop, who's recently had her Lance TV debut. They're an amazing autistic artist who is currently studying at Federation University and is often at TBH Studios. And I believe that's it. We have food, and thanks for coming along. I hope you'll come down and happy frolic. Come to all our events. I will love you forever.
There we go. Well, that was art made about art at last night's Frolic Festival, which was pretty good. I don't know. If you haven't enjoyed Frolic, you should come up and have a look. I am in the Facebook thread. Johnny Wombat, standing by. So good on you, Johnny. And Johnny's saying that his boy came up to help protect the area. So thank you to the Wombat family. And Rosie Cross, looking good, Lance. I would hope that our guest is looking good as well, Rosie. Rosie's watching us from Queensland, I think.
Hi, Rosie.
Yeah. Rose, I don't know if have you ever heard of I think it was an online platform called Geek Girl. Back in the 80s. Rosie Cross was responsible for Geek Girl. Fantastic. And Andy Warhol has spoken about Geek Girl. Wow. Yeah, so it's kind of like, wow. That's major. Yeah. I don't know if the times marry up, but Rosie, if you're still watching, just give us some details about what Andy said, what Andy had to say. It's a soup can. No, anyway. Yeah. So look, here we are. We're just buying a bit of time while we are waiting for the stream to come back for television. If you've got a question for Rick as we move through, do make yourself at home. People are sending hearts and thumbs up. Send us a question if you've got something for Rick that you'd like us to ask on your behalf. And if you don't want me to mention your name because you're a current student and you're doing your masters or your something quite flash and you want to make sure you get good marks, just put in the thread that you don't want me to mention your name. And then you can say anything. It'd be great. No. Okay. You get the last say with how the students go, don't you?
Oh, mostly.
Mostly?
Mostly.
Look at you being all humble. I have the power.
No. It's not about power. It's about them.
Oh, look at you with your twinkly eyes. It's about, I'm doing it for the kids.
Well, yeah, that's it.
Professor Richard Chew, look at you.
Choo-choo.
Oh, yeah, you got him first. No. I had this thing I was going to just gradually work towards. fantastic. Welcome back. You're watching Lance TV. I'm Lance de Boyle, and I'm sitting here with the wonderful Professor Richard Choo-Choo.
Hello. And the sounds of J.S. Bach take us there.
That's right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Was it a fugue or a toccata?
It was the toccata.
It was the
beginning of
toccata.
It's not actually by Bach, but anyway, that's okay.
Well, was anything later in life by Bach?
Probably not.
Have you heard that joke that goes, you be off,
Yeah.
like this with three people, you go, you be off,
Yeah.
you be Bach, and I'll be off and Bach.
Hey!
You've heard it now. You heard it here first by the looks of it.
Well, you say Carmina, I say Carmina. You say Barana, I say Barana.
Marina. Oh,
Carmina, Carmina, Barana, Barana. Let's call the whole thing off.
brum, ting. That's great. Oh, was it? No, that wasn't O Fortuna, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the,
Fortuna.
that's the beginning of it, yeah.
Oh, it's such a that was created into a dance mix. Did you know that?
No, I haven't
There
heard
was
that.
yeah, it was all in the raves. It was great.
I first heard it on the Old Spice ad.
Oh, now you're
This
showing.
this dreadful aftershave called Old Spice.
Yeah, it
which
was
my
around the
dad used to
same time
wear.
as Blue Stratos. was
Oh
around.
yes, Blue
Yeah.
Stratus. Yes. Yes.
That's hilarious. Rick, we are at the point where we're going to start the interview.
Okay.
And of course, which is part of what we do here at Lance TV, we start at the very beginning.
A very good place to start.
I like to think so. Professor Rick Chu, PhD, where were you born?
I was born in Birmingham.
Birmingham,
UK.
Birmingham, I hear you calling me. Anyway.
That's where I'm from. So Peaky Blinders company.
Ah.
Yeah.
What do they
That's
do in
sort of- that's
Birmingham?
where-
What's Birmingham
yeah, it
famous
was,
for? Besides you.
Birmingham City Football Club, Aston Villa,
Right.
the a whole bunch of things, but yes. The
There you
town
go.
hall where Mendelssohn first conducted Elijah. So yeah, great things from Birmingham.
Wow. Why do you keep giving me the finger? That's a bit,
Oh, I'm sorry about
that's
that.
a bit
It's very
full
subtle,
on.
but
But I'm glad you noticed anyway.
oh, it's a
Watch
sliding
for
nose.
it. Maybe it can be a drinking game tonight. How many times you do
Yeah,
that? Like, flip the bird to Lancy in a subtle way. You are, without a doubt, quite an able person around a piano. Do you come from a musical family?
No, I don't. Well, actually, no, they weren't trained musicians.
Oh,
But going back a little bit, so it's just this one.
nice.
It's going back a little bit. My great aunt was apparently very musical. She actually moved out to New Zealand and started up the Woman's Hour on the radio in New Zealand. She was known as Marina. It's a very kind of
Exotic
name. So,
name,
yeah, it
very
was-
Greek.
So Marina was her name. She was my great aunt. I never met her, but she apparently was very musical. But my immediate family, no. They loved music, though. My parents met through music, through classical music. So, and that's quite a kind of beautiful love story in itself. So my father and my uncle worked as motor mechanics for Meteor Ford in Birmingham. And they both found out that they were season ticket holders at the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra. And one night, my dad came back to my uncle's house and my mum was there and everything else is history.
Wow. You got
So
to love
just-
serendipity.
Classical music was the thing.
Yeah, great. Things to talk about when there are other things not to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so it was really, they loved music, and I think the greatest gift they gave me was they never said, don't be an artist. I think that's an extraordinary thing, because I was a dreamer as a kid, and they never sort of tried to steer me away from that. So when my uncle was trying to learn the piano, and he eventually got a new one, or a new second-hand piano. But anyway, the one that he had, which was white, it was painted white, this old, very old piano, came into our house, and I've never looked back since.
It spoke to you, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It became my greatest friend, really.
It became your love language.
It was, yeah, totally.
Yeah. And the serendipity of that as well, because you, in primary school and at church, you were in the choirs.
Yeah, I used to go along with my aunt and my nan to church. And then because I could sing, they got me into the choir. And I mean, that was really great, I think. You know, it was a great sort of learning experience. And, you know, it was a very good choir. And in our local, you know, parish, and, you know, my grandmother had gone to that church, and my great grandmother had gone to that church. So there was a long family history of it. And you know, I used to do the solo at the carol service and all that kind of stuff. And then a bit later on, I went into the Cathedral choir in.
Oh wow, that would have been good acoustics.
Which was amazing, and that was a really like a big step. And the thing about that was that you know, I learned that my grandfather, who I never met, my mum's dad, had been a chorister at Lichfield Cathedral, and so it started to kind of come out in my family that there was that musical thing going on, you know.
Right there in the epigenetics of it all.
Yeah.
Amazing. And in the lead up to tonight, when we were talking about, you know, music and you taking your music like a duck to water, you were saying that you've actually been blessed with perfect pitch. Were you aware of perfect pitch when you were young? Because you were singing and then you were playing piano, so it's kind of things fitting together and tuning your ear?
Yeah, I didn't know what it was or that it was anything special. But what happened was when I was a very little child, I was singing in the garden and a neighbour heard me, and she said to my mum, he's singing really well in tune, and you need to get him music lessons. So they started to test that out, and I eventually went to a teacher, and you know, I could immediately kind of play things back. So it's just something I can do, and I don't think of it as anything other than, I don't know, I've never known how to do it another way. But it's been a really great advantage in that, you know, if I hear a piece of music, and really when I was very young this happened, I was trying to work it out on the piano, and I knew where it should be, even though my piano was a little bit flat. So, you know, and my piano teacher, I remember learning this, it was actually a piece of Chopin's music, and it's the first piece of Chopin's music I ever learnt to play. And I played it on my teacher's piano, and his piano was perfectly in tune. And then I went, well, or rather he played it on the piano, and then I took the music home, and my piano was flat, so I put it into half a tone up. So I went back. So you transposed it? Yeah, I went back next week, and I thought I'd just got to play it where he played it. And so I went back, and that's when he said to my dad, look, you know, he's got pitch. So it's helpful at some times and not at others.
Wow, when you're being an audience member somewhere else. But we need to go for a short break. When
fine.
We come back, we're going to have some more enchanting conversations with Professor Rick Choo-choo right after this. I know. Yeah, so perfect pitch. And how wonderful that the people around you, though, were like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it actually, I remember when I was about 7, which is what, 1973, okay? So, yeah. So 1973 was a great year for music. It was, you know, it's the year of Dark Side of the Moon, and yeah, I know, and Tubular Bells, which is
Mike Oldfield.
My favourite record of all time. And the reason why it's my favourite record is because I had a friend at primary school, and his mum was musical. She was a violinist, And I used to go round to his house to kind of, just hang out and play there. And his mum had tubular bells, and she put it on the record player, and I just thought, I've never heard anything like this. And from that moment on, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I can absolutely pinpoint it pretty much to the day.
It is an amazing album. I wasn't really keen on the second side, which was wasn't it the soundtrack for some horror movie?
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist, yeah. I wasn't real keen on it, just as a composition.
Yeah.
But for me, side one of Tubular Bells, it had me as well. It was like,
oh, it's amazing.
This is crazy. This is a real journey into use your ears to listen to these things.
There are two amazing guys who've done it just as a duo, and I mean they've been doing it for years, but I saw them in Melbourne not so long back, and it was absolutely amazing, and the music just sounded as good as I remember it the first time I heard it. And from there I had to, I remember exactly what happened, because I had to go back to my piano and try and work it out, because I wanted the record.
Yeah, right.
I wanted my parents to maybe consider it as a birthday
listen
gift.
to this.
Yeah, so I learnt what I could of it, and I played it to them, and that convinced them that they should get me a Christmas present or whatever.
Some modern,
it was just
modern classical music, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and I still play it to this day.
Plus tubular bells.
Yes, yeah.
Gong, gong.
It's fantastic. That was Vivian Stanshall, who was the lead. He was the guy who was responsible for the wonderful Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. And
oh, you need to send me a link.
the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band are absolutely amazing. And
welcome back. You're watching Lance TV. We hope you're enjoying the show, because I know I am. And we have a studio audience.
hey,
There you go. There's reality at work. Woohoo! Rick, thank you so much for taking us through these elements of your world. Let's talk about, you're a little bit older now, you're in your 20s, and you actually find yourself at the Royal Academy of Music in London. Talk to us about that.
yeah. Well, I started when my voice transitioned. So I don't like to say they used to say it breaks, but it was a slow migration down from a little piping treble voice to a bass baritone, which I ended up becoming. My mum and dad were really into opera, and my grandpa really was, my dad's dad, and I started to imitate it because I thought it sounded kind of really interesting, and I loved the music. And then I went to university, and I didn't have an orchestral instrument, so I thought, well, I'll sing. And then that started to take out. I had a really fantastic singing teacher at university, and then he said, you should audition for the Royal College of Music in London. And I remember, again, it's one of those moments, like the Tubular Bells moment. It was like I got my letter through, and I'm from Birmingham, which is, it's now a very international city, but I wanted to live in London. It was just the centre of the universe for music, and I thought, how do I get there, And I remember getting that letter from the Royal College saying, you've got a scholarship, and it was an amazing moment. And actually it's like Hogwarts, it's...
But you have to go in the 9.5, the door 9.5, or whatever it is.
Well, it's unbelievable. I mean, there's a building. It's right across the road from the Royal Albert Hall. Oh. So I used to have my singing lessons looking at the Royal Albert Hall. So it's like
there's inspiration
what
right
you
there.
Can aspire to. And, for a kid from Birmingham, like, it was unbelievable. And I still can't believe it now, actually. I just went back there last year because I had 6 months off on a sabbatical. And I went back, and there's so many people I still know there who are still teaching there. The head of opera I know very well, and the welcome was amazing, you know. And I got to meet Dame Janet Baker, who was an amazing mezzo-soprano. And this is a wonderful story, because she's in her 90s now. And I did a masterclass with her when I was 22 or something like that. And I was introduced to her at this, you know, reception. And I said, yeah, I did a masterclass with you when I was here as a student. She said, yes, I remember you saying this and this. And I literally couldn't believe it. I just thought, how on earth does your memory work? That you could remember that moment. And, you know, that's a very, very special person. That's like a world name. And those people were in that place every day.
Talking about special names,
Yeah.
you're at the Academy,
Yeah.
and you actually met the Queen Mother. Tell us
did.
that story.
I did meet the Queen Mother.
Or rather, she met
I
you.
did. Oh, well, yeah. She invited me to tea, which was amazing. Well, so I won this big prize at the end of my time there, which is called the President's Rose Bowl, and it's one of the two major prizes that they give to an outstanding student at the end of the year. And what that means is that you get to meet the president of the college, who at that time was Her Majesty the Queen Mother. So that was a very nerve-wracking experience, and you know, you get taught protocol, and you know, it's all very. But actually, the event I remember being surreal, absolutely surreal. So that I was presented with this rose bowl, which apparently belonged to Henry VIII.
Don't. Really?
Yeah, for 5 minutes. So you get the photograph taken with it, and then it gets whisked away.
Oh, you wouldn't want to get the jitters, just sort of like go,
No.
oh.
And then you have to go to tea with Her Majesty. So you have to sit. It was in the recital room, and we had this tea laid out, and there was Lord Rothschild and Lady, you know.
Oh, the Rothschilds. Did they bring their giraffes?
All sorts of people. And the camera, you know, like the cameras are going on. And the Queen Mother was just totally serene.
Yeah.
And obviously had lived that life all the way through, but I just had this migraine. I was sitting, you know, just thinking, oh. So I'm having tea, and she was really absolutely beautiful. Very, very kind and very detailed in her questions, because I sang in the concert that she'd heard. So I sang this song by a guy called Charles Villiers Stanford, who was a great English composer, and she said, of course, I knew Stanford, I knew Elgar, I knew Benjamin Britten and Peter Pears, and it's just, so you're absolutely in contact with this person who's lived this extraordinary history and lived to an amazing age and saw so much.
Yeah. And did so much for England too during World War II.
Amazing. But very funny, you know, she was really...
Quite earthy.
Really,
yeah.
I mean, very kind is what I remember.
Amazing. So from that, a few years go by.
Yeah.
You find yourself travelling to Australia. What's the story about you coming to Australia?
Okay, so I'll it's quite interesting.
No, share it. Don't just giggle about it to yourself.
I'm a student at the Royal College. I need a job at night. Okay, so I go and I get a green lame jacket, and I go to tear tickets at the English National Opera, which is at the Colosseum, London Colosseum. Wonderful, because I get to see these amazing operas every night. And about 6 weeks into this very, very beautiful Australian woman arrives, and she's working on the dress circle, and we get to meet, and the rest is history. I end up going to Australia, to Adelaide actually, which is where her parents were from. And we end up having 2 children, and in 2005, when they're little, you know, my daughter was 4, my son was 7. And it was just a window of opportunity. So if we're going to do it, we'll do it now. And I'd sort of got to the point in England where I thought I really need to live somewhere else. You know, is it going to be America or Australia? And having been here probably 8 or 9 times by that stage, it was a no-brainer. And, you know, it's been an incredible life here.
Amazing. We do need to go for another break. Thank you for sharing that story.
That's okay.
When we come back, we are going to have more of the lovely Professor Richard Choo-choo! Right after this.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome back to Facebook. We're on Facebook. Let's see what's happening on Facebook. Bruce Hatfield. Hey there, Lance. Love the interview. I'm loving it too. What's happening is when I ask, we get a few questions in.
Yeah, sure.
In the corner, I've got Cheryl going, we need to wind out, we need to go for an ad. And it's like, no. I'm in my head going, no, I want to hear this story. You're very eloquent in the way that you paint with your words about your life.
Oh, thank you. I think Birmingham people, I've noticed when I went back actually, when you're not there for a while, my dad is great. He's in his late 80s now and he's a real storyteller. He's a beautiful storyteller and I miss the dialect. I miss,
What's the Birmingham dialect?
Well, if I were to go into Birmingham now, it would sound like that and that's how I actually grew up sounding.
Wow, so it's not like, took me but my stairs, it did that somewhere else, right?
No, it's West Midlands, like, you know. So they say like.
So it is like that?
Yeah, it's absolutely like
Sounds
that.
pit.
So that's all right. Yeah, you're going a bit north now. But there's a sing-song kind of quality to the sound of Birmingham.
Yeah, right.
And people are great storytellers. They're very engaging and they draw you in with it. So I think that I heard from when I was a kiddie.
Yeah. And that's really very tribal, that whole kind of ability to remember, not only remember the story, but to articulate the detail within a story. So you're kind of handing history on to people that way, really, aren't you?
Yeah, and they're very warm people, very warm, welcoming people, but also it's a very dry sense of humour. It's very funny, and you know, you kind of just, you get straight back into it. It's totally of itself, really. Yeah.
So it's as though you've never really left.
No, I feel that's very much in. My mum, however, she thought if I was going to go on the stage, she thought.
Welcome back. You're watching Let's TV and Let's Do Oil, and I'm sitting here with the very giggly Sir Richard, Professor Richard Choo-choo. I love
I'm never
this.
going to live that one down.
No. Any students at the Arts Academy, I hope that next week when you see the professor, you'll just walk past and go, Professor Choo-choo, and keep walking. Chicka, 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 chicka.
That's it.
It's all very musical, trains.
It is.
Choo.
Choo.
You can do a whole song and just put Professor Choo-choo, Professor Choo-choo in there. Be great. I can hear it. It's a whole opera.
Yeah, it is.
Get him onto it. Be great.
I will.
So you've made your way to Australia.
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah.
You've been working, lecturing in music at Uni South Australia.
Yeah.
And then the same year, 2015, you and the family moved to sunny Ballarat.
Yeah, so I this job came up over here, and I had been to Ballarat before, but all I really knew about Ballarat was the Art Gallery. I knew the Art Gallery was amazing, and I knew about Royal South Street because everybody knows about Royal South Street, and I knew about Block and Lyric, so I had a kind of idea about that it was a a theatre town, and that performing arts was really big here, and that visual arts was really big here. So I thought that'd be a really interesting place to be. And the job came up at the Arts Academy, and it was a lecturer in singing. But it was musical theatre, so...
Razzle dazzle.
Yeah. Well, you know, if we go back to famous people that I have, you know, crossed paths with, Stephen Sondheim was one.
Oh, don't.
Yeah, which was amazing. So that really was what turned me from, I was singing a lot of classical music, onto his particular kind of musical theatre, and particularly Sweeney Todd, which was what I interviewed him about Sweeney Todd. And we, you know, I've got letters from him.
I just want to touch you, because touching you means that I've touched Stephen Sondheim. No.
Yeah, he was just as wonderful as people say. Very, very, I mean, just a fascinating person. And, you know, the conversation went everywhere. But we were really talking about Sweeney Todd, which is the piece that I wanted to talk to him about. And, you know, but we, you know, he invited me along to the National Theatre, which is where he was doing
Sunday in the
rewrites
afternoon.
for
Sunday
in the Park with George.
Sunday afternoon in the Park with George. Beautiful. Bernadette
Yeah.
Peters. I saw it on
yeah.
ABC.
It was
I cried. Well, like once I learnt the monkey and who the person was holding the monkey, it was like, I lost it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful show. And yeah, he was a remarkable person.
Yeah, because, and for those of you who don't know the play or the piece of work, it is Sondheim's storytelling of a particular painting by George Seurat. Seurat. Where, and it's, we all know it, it's famous, it's a park scene, and in the foreground there's a woman with her bustle, and she's walking a monkey. And it works out that in this story that he had a real love for that woman who, I think from memory, was actually a prostitute.
Yes.
And this love that George had for her, and gave her this this regal place in the painting. It was like, oh.
Yeah, it's an amazing show. And, you know, I think particularly that great choral number called Sunday, which finishes the first act, where the painting sings. I mean, it's just the most wonderful.
That's such clever
because
staging.
elements
Really clever
of it have
staging.
been coming together all through the act.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it sings as it's completed. And that is just a piece of genius, you know.
Yeah, beautiful staging. We're coming to the end of the interview, but what I do want to ask you is Federation University. It's got musical theatre.
Yeah.
It's got, I walk past, I often hear people belting out some beautiful bit of opera.
Yeah.
What else happens over at Federation University at the Arts Academy?
So we have the Bachelor of Music, Theatre and Acting, which is our music theatre programme, if you like, an acting programme. And we have the Bachelor of Visual Arts. So visual arts has been taught here kind of pretty much continuously for like 150 years. So, so it's an old school art school, is the way I like to think of it. It's, you know, you get everything on this amazing campus. And as we're moving into the future, we've got challenges like any university has with student numbers and competition and the rising fees and the notion of job-ready graduates package and all that stuff. But, you know, the students are still coming to us. They're still amazing. You know, we've got a student who only graduated a few years ago who's like taking a leading role in Bell Shakespeare, like as we speak. So,
Don't.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, they're still going, they're getting agents, they're going out there and doing wonderful things in the performing arts. They're also teaching. They come back to lecture for us, and they're doing all sorts of work within community. And
You've got Jason Wasley over there at the moment, don't you? Yeah. I love Jace.
He's a great guy.
Jace and I went to a very early version of performing arts here at when it was at SMB in that, I don't know what that big space is called there with the raked seating.
Oh, the
courthouse, when David Brown and Megan Jones started that, and I met Jason there, beautiful human being, and the lovely
What a singer.
And he was a tenor then. And the lovely Karina Oates, who was the rock and roll circus hula hoop girl. It's funny to talk about people. Go, oh yes, I know famous people. Talking about famous people, Rick, we have arrived at the end of the interview. I've got a couple of gifts for you. One is this wonderful tiny Pride satchel. You can do your shopping in that. So there's that for you. And of course, every guest gets a photograph of me saying, I was on Let's TV. So
I think what I have to say here is, that is going in the pool room. That is fantastic.
There you go. Cheryl took that photo.
Much.
Cheryl, just over there.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Over there. Amazing.
Thank
Rick,
you.
thank you so much for sharing part of your story. And really, I know
pleasure.
that we've only just touched the surface of everything, but it was so lovely to touch it. Yeah. When we come back from the short break, we will see you all right after this. We hope you enjoyed our interview with Professor Richard Chew. If you'd like to find out more, you can head over to Richard's website at www.richardchewmusic.com. Lance TV will be back right after this series of very short messages. Oh, there you go, very short messages. We're having a look on Facebook here. We've got Johnny Wombat saying, hey Sophie, is it my TV on Channel 31 muffled audio? Facebook is fine. I think you might need to take that up with Patrick. Johnny, ads are fine, yet muffled on Channel 31. So Facebook is fine. So yeah, I'm thinking, Patrick, if you can do anything down there at Channel 31 to fix the muffled audio, that'd be great. Kathy Larson, what an amazing man. Such talent and experiences. Thank you for this fascinating interview. There you go. And Kathy Larson is actually a visual artist who had a piece exhibited last night as part of the Frolic Art. Well, that's another name that turns up very often in the thread. Tara Poole.
Tara.
You currently have the most famous composer known in Ballarat in your studio tonight. Sparky, I didn't know you wrote music. No.
Boom, boom.
That's amazing. So you are the most famous composer in Ballarat?
I don't know that that's the case. There are some amazing people here.
Somebody has remarked, and it's Tara Poole, and I would tend to believe what Tara Poole says.
Thank you, Tara.
Tara Poole shoots from the hip and doesn't do this rabbit punching thing like other people. No. Just bang, it's done. Yep. So you are the most famous composer in Ballarat.
Thank you. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Look into the camera and say thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Tara.
No, wait, hey, change it back. We're going, there, no, this one.
This one?
No, this one, there, go.
Thank you, Tara.
There you go, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, good help is hard to find tonight. I love it. I was now going to get up and just grab the camera. So yeah, I did have a look at your website and listen, you've got a couple of tracks there. Yeah. And one was really kind of, it was quite fluid. It was kind of rolling and falling over itself. And the other one was kind of, I don't know, like it was going on a ride as a leaf in the wind or something.
Wow.
So
wow, thank
there
you.
you go. Tara, ha! I feel seen. No. It wasn't an exclamation mark, it was ha. I feel. So, all over the shop. Welcome back if you're watching us. You are watching Lance TV. Tomorrow, Dr. Rob versus Independent Theatre down there at Ackland Street in St Kilda. Dr. Rob is a Ballarat theatre maker. Gallery 10 is exhibiting on the 2nd of March the Raw Art exhibition with Pete Pilvin, who's a well-known potter in Ballarat, Tonya Blizzard, who's a wonderful visual artist, Ballarat Spoken Word at the TBH studio by Marty Mostar and crew there. They look as though they're asleep, but they're not. They're enjoying the spoken word. Ballarat Begonia Festival on the 9th of March. I think it's now in something like its 140th year, and they're launching a new begonia species. Carnival, Chill Out Festival 2024, Victoria Park, Dalesford. This is a holding spot. Peter Sparkman's exhibiting photos there. 16th of March, Art Late featuring Gut Health. This is a retrospective about punk in, I think it was in the late 70s, early 80s. Dobro jutro, kako si? It's the Croatian Cultural Festival at the Croatian Dom in Footscray. So I'm quite interested in the Croatian Dom. St Andrews Festival there. St Andrews is just the other side of Hurstbridge. That looks like a wonderful thing to go and do. On the 23rd of March, Uncoordinated Queers are doing an archery event at Gilly Street Lake Gardens on the 25th, and again, that is part of the Frolic Festival. Get along to that, Uncoordinated Queers, so much fun. Placeholder, 31st of March, International Transgender Day of Visibility. Somebody you know and love is probably transgender, so give them a big hug. And of course, the 16th of August, for those who like to plan ahead, is the Bendigo Riders Festival. Friday the 16th through to Sunday the 18th at the Capital there in Bendigo. Well, with all of that said, we've got a little bit of time to shoot the breeze. So we've already played the Sondheim card, but I'm actually interested to hear you talk about when you went back to London last year, went home last year, you know, kicking around, and a friend of yours rang and said, do you want to come to a jam at this guy's place? And you went, oh, sure.
She did.
Do you want to talk to us about that moment?
I will tell you about that. I've got a great friend, Melanie Pappenheim, who's a singer. So we've done a lot of work together, but she is in this singing group that Brian Eno runs from his studio in Notting Hill. And she said, do you want to come along? And I said, yeah, of course I want to come along. So it was surreal. So there you are, and there's Brian Eno, and there are a group of us just singing. And he is totally passionate about singing. If he's in London, he will run this thing come rain or shine every Thursday night. And it's just a group of friends gathering together to sing songs they love. The only thing you have to do is come in and try and harmonise, and you never know who's going to show up. You know, I think Jarvis Cocker was there the week before. No, yeah,
really?
Really, literally the week before. Damon Albarn is a regular, and then there are people who are just neighbours and friends. So
people from the old fish and chip shop.
Yeah. People he's probably known all his life there. You know, so for him it's a passion, and he really believes in that, and I think it keeps him grounded. And it was a wonderful experience. You know, we spent 2 or 3 hours singing.
Do things like that happen to you often? Like, I mean, you've met the Queen Mum.
Yeah.
You've met Stephen Sondheim and spent time with him. You've hung out with Brian Eno. Who else in the oh my gosh, like everybody knows this name?
Well, I didn't meet George Clooney, but George Clooney and a guy called John Prendergast, who is a
I know that name.
Amazing activist. And this is a bizarre story, but I wrote this.
You're on the right show for a bizarre story.
Well, look, I wrote this big piece called Stari Most. Now you're talking about Croatia just now.
Yes.
on the ads. So Stari Most is in Bosnia Herzegovina, in Mostar. It's a bridge. It's an old bridge, and I wrote this piece of music about it, and it had been done in Salisbury Cathedral, and that was an amazing event. You know, Sir Paddy Ashdown presented at the beginning of that, and he was the High Commissioner for Bosnia for the British government at the time. And then the piece was, you know, I did it over here, and I conducted it in London. And then there was the guy who made the film for it, which was really rather wonderful, was a very high-end property developer, and he ended up being on this private jet with George and Amal Clooney and mentioned this piece of music. And they work for a human rights charity called The Sentry. And they were setting up an office in London, and he said, well, what do you need to get it happening in London and to get all the people around it? And he said, okay, well, we need this amount of money for the orchestra, this amount of money for the soloists, then we've got to get a choir, and we need the film screen. He said, well, what do you need? You know, and they just signed off on it on the plane.
Wow.
Like it was about...
Done.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it wasn't a huge amount of money, but like, wow. And, you know, that's a piece that is about human rights and how the arts kind of feeds into that, and it's something I believe in very strongly. So.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And just kind of reflecting back on the interview, how we've sort of discussed that, it appears to me that from your very young age, the magic of you, that you have been seen your whole life. Like from when you were young and your parents, like you said it yourself, the neighbour kind of went, this kid's got chops, you need to do something about this. And to your parents never saying, you better get a backup job, or arts isn't a job, but you know, do just lean into it, go love what you do, to, you know, sitting down, having dinner with the Queen Mum, to, you know, getting here, and a George Clooney story. It's like your whole life you've been blessed with being seen.
I think I've been very lucky. And,
but is it luck, or is it just hard work?
there's a
Luck's magical thinking.
Yeah,
like,
it is. You know that. I think any artists who are listening in will know that. It's 98% hard work. And I think really what I would say to my students and those who really want to go into it is just be around it as much as you can. Volunteer. I mean, I did so much volunteer work, you know, just sort of filling in for people, or understudying when I was asked to, or not taking a fee for something if it was a profit share or something of that nature. So I did that for a long time. And I think that eventually it just sort of, I mean, to be honest with you, I met more celebrities playing, because I used to play hotel piano in London. That was my night job.
that was your side hustle.
Yeah, I played at the Hilton in London and Park Lane and various other places. And it was brilliant because I got to practice for like 6 hours playing all sorts of music. And you meet all sorts of people. I met Tom Jones and like, all sorts of people. You know, Les Dawson, he was an amazing British comedian.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was a beautiful story. Barry Manilow, lots and lots of people who would come in. And what I learned from that is that the people who are absolutely at the apex of fame are usually the kindest, most humble and generous people you will ever meet. They're the people who will carry your bags at the airport if you just got off the plane. They're very different from the kind of some of the people who are kind of wanting to be that.
The wannabes.
Yeah. So I think that's been my experience of it, and I think that's a great way to be in the world.
I think just bouncing off that wannabe thing, I instantly kind of went like, you've got craftspeople who are very good and humble with their craft and share the love of that quite willingly, and then you've got people who believe their own publicity.
Yeah.
And therein lay the different psychology of both kind of pockets, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had the last word because I'm having it back. Thank you, everybody, Channel 31. Thank you for taking the time with us this evening to go down the road of Professor Richard Chew. And next week we'll have another guest. We hope that you are safe, that you're well. And remember, as we move forward in life, always be kind. We will see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for watching Lance TV. We'll be back same time next week. Lance TV is made possible through funding from the Community Broadcasting Foundation. I'm voiceover guy Randall Smith. See you next time.